Hello, lore heads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
Today, we're talking about the Shadow Isles. It's a region that, on the map of Runeterra, is really in the far southeast, kind of separate from everything else.
Such a tiny place for the big impact it has.
Well, I guess when that was the edge of the world, it kind of felt maybe more appropriate.
Yeah.
Right?
Then they started putting other things near it.
There's all this other shit. That's okay. All right, so Shadow Isles. What's it all about, right? What's this?
What's the one sentence summary
What is a
describing
shadow?
the Shadow Isles?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I hit you with it. I didn't write one down, but I could probably
I love
freestyle
this.
one, right?
Go.
It's like the Shadow Isles is the haunted ruins of a once great civilization that antagonizes and threatens the world as its power grows ever larger and it looms, and has been the source of a couple of really big events in Runeterra that were actually seen through by Riot, for better or worse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. It might have sucked ass, but they finished it.
They did it. They had their wits about them. What can I say?
And not all of it sucked ass. That was mean. Sorry, Riot.
Instead of a sentence, can I give a haiku?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Did
yeah.
you
we
write
should
a
do
haiku
limericks.
down?
No, but I have one in my head that I just thought
Just
of,
off
so
the dome? You can remember the syllables?
it's gonna take. I might
Okay,
get it
I
wrong. Okay.
believe-
It's only
I
two
love you.
numbers.
Hey, shut up.
You gotta remember them 3 times. You know, it's like,
It's a lot. Right, we can connect 4 until we say it's a lot of counting. 1, 2, 3, 4.
it's just, I mean, you know.
You gotta do it so many times.
Watch out for the dead. What was I gonna say? Oh, the black mist is really bad. The harrowing sucks.
Whoa. Okay.
No, you did. Yeah, look at this guy.
That's good.
Yeah,
It was beautiful.
you're welcome. I like to think I bring a little bit of class to this podcast.
You do.
Like, did it rhyme? Is it really a poem? I mean, you know, who are we to judge?
Yeah, so the Shadow Isles, I would say we talked about a lot. Because there's really like only 1 or 2 really massive things that happen there, and we have gone over it a lot. It's not like the long history that we had in Noxus and whatnot.
Right. And if this is this is somehow your first episode that you're listening to, we'll sprinkle in a few little, like, if you want to learn more about this, listen to this episode. Because if you know nothing about the Shadow Isles, and this is also the first episode of ours you're listening to, you're going to leave still not knowing a lot of the Shadow Isles.
No. We'll go over it.
We'll go over it.
You get the flavor.
The
of it.
flavor.
But
of
if
the
you want
Shadow
that
Isles.
deep dive, baby, we'll hook you up.
What do you think it tastes like?
Well, I mean, the
Shadow Isles?
It tastes musty.
Earthy?
You know, like
Musty.
Yeah, earthy, musty.
like your granddad's old
mothballs.
cologne.
Or like leaving like wash in.
That's perfect. When you leave the clothes in the washing machine for too long
Yeah.
and they get musty,
taste
that's
it.
it. That's what it tastes like.
You'll cast some sort of fucking spell. I can taste it in my mouth now. You ruined this wine.
Oh, man.
Now, was the Shadow Isles always like this?
No.
What?
I'm glad
Should
you
we
asked
expand?
me.
Right?
I answered already.
Yeah, I mean, we dig into the history of it. So, I mean, right. So, it's like you said, once upon a time, Shadow Isles was not all fucked up and ruined. It used to be called the Blessed Isles. Hey, it must have been better. The name was better.
It
Right?
had to be.
It's not like Iceland, Greenland.
Right? Maybe. Oh, man. That'll be great. And yeah, this capital was Helia. Helia comes up a lot in what happens with the Shadow Isles. But it was very advanced, very powerful, but also very secretive. They kind of hid away from the world. Although at the same time, they also collaborated a lot with other cultures, like the Buru, Alawi's people, the Vasani, Ari's sort of Vastayan tribe, just as examples.
Yeah, they were big on
And-
scholars. If you were
Yeah.
a scholar of the world, you were generally welcome, it seemed.
Yeah, it's kind of in a golden age, I think is how I've seen it described in some of the universe stuff that Riot has out there. And another big thing that they did was they gathered up a bunch of powerful and dangerous artifacts for safekeeping. They kind of decided everyone else was kind of fucking up with all of these cool things, including world runes, and decided that they would be the ones to make sure that no bullshit happened. And to their credit, they were doing a pretty good job.
With one exception, they were pretty right about that.
You know what? We can't all be right all the time. Okay? I guess another important thing that comes up that has big ramifications later on for all of Runeterra is that the Sentinels of Light are sort of founded here, which we see in the novel that we'll talk about a little bit, I guess. They're just they wield these powerful weapons that are coincidentally very effective against the eventual ghouls and goblins that will haunt the islands. And another big element is a concept of the waters of life. It's just sort of this very powerful, restorative, magical water that kind of runs through these islands.
Right. Which is kind of what started the islands in the first place.
Yeah,
like the
Maokai
islands
sucked it all up.
erupted, Maokai sucked up the good waters and was like, plants! And threw plants
God.
everywhere. He's Shadow Isle. Yeah.
Shadow Isles God.
He's Blessed Isles God. Shadow Isles vengeful God.
Yeah. And this is where like champions like Thresh was kind of around originally as just a regular guy about this point. Rise was also a regular guy about this point. So eventually this is where Viego fucks everything up, right? Like Viego is the big to do when it comes to the Shadow Isles, which sucks. Like as I say it, I kind of
You just hate him all over again.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. I mean, if you're familiar with Viego, right? His wife dies. He takes her to the Blessed Isles to get her healed, and it all goes cattywampus, and the entire area is ruined, and that's what causes everyone's spirits to be kind of trapped there. It destroys everything. It turns the islands into the Shadow Isles. This is where Hecarim is turned into a big monstrous centaur. Callista was Viego's aunt, funny enough,
Yeah.
and had been out seeking, found the Blessed Isles, and was ultimately betrayed by Hecarim and others, and became the ghoul that she is. And Thresh had a huge hand in all of these goings on. He kind of runs. If something bad happens, Thresh just does it.
Yeah,
he's the one who did it somehow, right? And at this point, the Shadow Isles kind of are as we sort of have been describing them. And a big thing that they do leading up to some very recent events is harrowings. And harrowings are just sort of so the islands are covered in an evil mist called the Black Mist that allows the ghosts and monsters to propagate. And they have these things called harrowings, where the Black Mist will sort of surge in power and spread out to other places. Normally it's kind of contained within the Shadow Isles, but in harrowings, it will go to the nearest place where there's life, which tends to be Bilgewater.
It's a lot of life
so it's very
there.
common. Yeah, it's also the closest
call it
place,
that.
I think.
Damn.
Yeah,
Poor Bilgewater.
right. I mean, it does kind of suck to live there, but we're talking about a place that's like a literal haunted, island chain. So I don't know, it all sucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of living creatures still on there. There's Yorick and Maokai. I feel like, and now Vex kind of hangs out there.
Elise stops by every now and
Elise
then.
stops by to get artifacts. I feel like I picked up on this, but do regular people try to go get artifacts too and rarely return kind of thing? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Did y'all? I was going to ask, did you end up reading the Realms of Runeterra story?
Oh,
I
shit.
didn't know there was one.
No, I didn't think to go into it. Yeah,
I know
you can
we
tell
talked about
us.
it like at least twice, right?
Oh wait, was this the
The Daring Darling.
Remember.
was that the dinner party one, or is that a different one? The one with Callista and Vladimir?
Yeah, I wouldn't
Okay.
describe it as a dinner party per se, but it's kind of that setup.
Dinner party?
Yeah, is it dinner?
I'm trying to imagine Callista and Vladimir having a dinner party. But
Callista wasn't
I mean, he
invited.
does that with LeBlanc.
She was a very late entry guest
Gotcha.
for Vengeance.
This
Yeah,
is
the
kind
plus
of-
one, right? Yeah, that's the whole setup. Is kind of like John's describing. It is sort of like a murder mystery. Like everyone's there at this place. It's like an outpost just out on the like the shores or outskirts of the Shadow Isles, where a bunch of
Okay.
adventurers, and it's like the vault that they keep their shit in when they go to and from. So yeah, there's people from everywhere. There's like an Ionian, a Noxian, a Pilto, and everyone who's anyone right, wants to plunder these islands. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. That sounds super familiar now. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we did see more of that. Although I would love a champion besides Elise that like tries to plunder the Shadow Isles, like a normal person, not like a weird spider demon who works for LeBlanc.
Well, we see that normal person who tries to plunder from Elise. Does that count?
No, it does not.
Yeah, I do agree though, because like when I was putting together stuff for the Shadow Isles, I kind of realized like this is just like it's just a little adventure setting within the bigger setting of Runeterra. You know, there are places like almost most regions we'll talk about are more, you know, they're alive, they're living cultures, and they have these ideas we can grapple with. But the Shadow Isles doesn't really have any of that, right? It and like the Void, these two especially are just kind of antagonist places where just monsters come from.
With some exceptions, I'd say Yorick's probably not a monster. He's trying to lay everyone to rest, although.
Sure,
He looks
it's
scary.
like, well, I guess like yeah, I guess I mean to say is that like even the champions that are in there are either like monsters from it or are like attempting to combat it. Right? Does that make sense?
Like the setting itself is a monster
yeah,
contained within
sure.
our additional monsters.
Yeah. Do you think, because there's hints, mostly with Maokai's stuff, Maokai can still sense that there's waters of life somewhere in the Blessed Eye or the Shadow Isles. Do you think Riot will ever heal the Shadow Isles? I know, that's a big question. Sometimes I think about, like, when League is ending, you know?
That's...
Would they do
I choose
anything?
not to think about that.
I know, right? Because we play League a lot.
I think if anything,
Yeah.
it would be an MMO expansion. There would be a cleansing of the Shadow Isles type thing.
That would be fucking incredible, dude.
God, dude. Oh my God, dude. Like, you're just making me upset that thing's going to take forever to come out. And who knows?
I would
These
pay money
things
for
will probably
that
never
expansion.
happen. Right?
We probably will have to.
I know, I will. I don't care. That's a great idea. I would love for them to wrap up some big things
Plot lines.
in Runeterra. Plot lines, yeah, in Runeterra. The champions still go on. It's fine, you know, in the game. It's okay. Yeah, I think if anything, maybe a part of the Shadow Isles would be healed, but I don't know. I would love to see it healed.
mean, for sure. It's definitely something where, like, that's the only context that would feel appropriate, because otherwise, like, everything kind of needs to persist for there to... You never know, you might need a Shadow Isles jungler or something, right? You know what I mean?
It's true.
Which is hard. And I'm kind of... I don't know. I'm more okay with it kind of existing as just sort of a persistent blight on the world, because it's just a generator for adventures and stories and things. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess it's hard too, because like kind of like we've been talking around, it's also, I feel like, a region that's got a lot of like plot development. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's a lot of motion there for you know, for a place that largely right now is the same as it was as when we were first introduced to it.
That's a good point.
Exactly. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Right though, like that's a really good point. Is that like we have these places that we could really grapple with some more meaty, complex conflicts and things, and instead, I don't know. Maybe that's because it's so straightforward. It's easier to write a big thing for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's got to be part of it, because when I was putting together the list of like, oh, here's some stories you could read to like get a feel for the Shadow Isles, it was kind of striking how many of them are sort of similar in sort of what goes on, and a champion shows up and it's spooky, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Watch out for the dead.
There's dead people here. Did you know that?
And they're not bad stories or anything. I mean, if you like horror, I think Shadow Isles is a great place to start getting into Runeterra. I don't know. Maybe it's like a double-edged sword, right? Where like Shadow Isles is pretty cohesive, I feel like, compared to some other regions in terms of how it's presented.
You know,
but it comes
It's surprise. So you say that. I feel
I
like
could be wrong. Maybe it's just
Shadow Isles would be a great place for horror, right? I don't feel like we get a lot of horror in Shadow Isles in the stories. It's a lot of violence for sure, but I feel like we almost get more horror in Zon than in Shadow Isles.
Very interesting. There's something. I mean, I guess I'd have to like look at my list here. Like, I really think
the
of things
newest
like,
one is good for that. Like the Alawi,
the Alawi
one. Like, I think there's a lot of really good kind of atmospheric type, crew slowly disappearing as you're venturing further in. Like, I think that one did a pretty good job at it. But like the Hecarim one, the Maokai one, it's a lot of ghosts, but it's all a lot of like murder, not a lot of, which I guess some people, that's horror for some people. I guess I should count it, but I don't know. It hits me different,
I would look at things like Burial at Sea, which was the Karthus story, and that Elise story. Like, I'm looking at my little list here: Strand by Silken Strand, and Inside a Land. Like, these three, which funny enough are just like, they're kind of what I was complaining about, in that they're just mostly stories where spooky things are happening with a champion. I think also I remember each of these having some nice kind of creepy imagery.
I did like that Elise one a lot for that, I think. I remember.
Yeah. I always remember from the Karthus one the image of like they've got all these people who have died and are wrapped up in like sacks, and as he's walking by them they start sort of moving and wriggling around, and they're compared to like maggots or something. I was like, I kind of like that imagery. I don't know. But,
I could see that. I think another important thing that we forgot to mention about the whole ruination that started this thing was that Zillion caused it and Soraka helped.
Oh, yeah. His fucking accomplice, his partner in crime.
Don't ever forget that.
I somehow always do. I always just want to blame Viego because of his stupid, like, hot cross bun abs. But truly, Thresh is more responsible than anybody.
Which is ironic because he's not even in the Shadow Isles anymore. He fucked right off.
He's too good for the Shadow Isles now, Going back would be like going back to high school. He can't do it.
It's kind of true.
Right? He went and got Viego's hot cross buns.
He did.
And then was like,
stole them.
Now I'm too good for this place.
Look at them.
Look at these abs. I'm going to fucking Noxus.
This is true. He did equip them, right?
He equipped them. Could you imagine you defeat Viego and you pick up an item and it's pale hot cross bun abs?
It's like fucking Mega Man.
Right?
Oh,
God. Yeah,
just his belly.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Gut Buster.
Gut Buster.
But yeah, Soraka did have a dumbass part where she's like just telling Callista, I don't know, maybe you could go here. Like, bitch.
If you'd stop speaking in riddles for 1 second. Maybe
1 second. Could have told Callista, listen, Queen already dead. Because Callista didn't know that yet. She's out wandering around hoping that she could save the Queen. No. She died. Sorry. Please don't throw corpses in the sacred holy water.
We bathe in this, please, people.
That's our drinking water.
That's our drinking water. Yucky.
Use the corpse water over there, okay?
There's so much of it.
Yeah, I had a question about the current state of the Shadow Isles, which is that do harrowings still happen? I mean,
we talked about we had that question. Yeah,
did we talk about it? I'm sorry, I forgot.
It was when we were creating our own champions, and I had wondered if the Shadow Isles still existed.
Yeah, you're right.
Or not the Shadow Isles, the harrowings were still happening. Yeah, because Viego is kind of sealed away now, but they were happening without Viego before. So,
so I'm confident that they are still happening.
Sure.
Is it just because
Right
needs a Halloween thing to happen every year?
Well, now they do. I don't even think they do the harrowings anymore. That used
really
to be the
anymore.
Halloween event.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
Yeah, that's because they need to write something for that. Whereas this, they can just
come up with their weird Tim Burton skins.
Fun Tim Burton skins.
I do like them. I shouldn't mock them.
I like them too. I almost bought them, but I've got under 10,000 RP now. We tighten the purse strings around here, man. But Yeah, I think it's kind of a shame because I think the idea of the Hero Wings is really fun, and I really would like them to do them again more. I think the whole state of the Shadow Isles right now is a big question mark for me.
I know. I would like to see Hero Wings elsewhere, though. Like, it almost seems like that's what they tried to do with the Ruination. Not the Ruination. The
Rise of the Sentinels.
The Rise of the Sentinels, yeah. But it just seemed like to spread everywhere. Whereas I think the Shadow... or the mist kind of spreading in a different direction and suddenly showing up on the shores of what would have been west. I'm not sure. I can't picture it.
You could do Noxus. You could get up to Ionia. You could even do...
They went straight west to be
northeast,
Ishtal.
like,
that actually would be fucking riveting. Because
Sure,
Ishtal's
yeah.
so
That'd be pretty
separated from the world. A lot of people don't even know that there's a world outside of Ishtal. So having this, like, I don't know, demon corpse... mist coming through.
I wonder if they could make it into Ishtal.
I'm curious.
I mean, they made
too.
it into Ionia, and Ionia is pretty land magical too, so they probably could.
Yeah,
That's true.
I mean, the mist itself, in description, when you're inside it, sounds so damn scary.
Right.
It's not just like a creepy mist and then it burns your skin and you die or something. It's like
very
just
Hellraiser.
Thousands of souls there. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's Hecarim who will brutally murder you. Sometimes Hecarim's in there. You better hope Hecarim's not in your mist.
You gotta roll the hard 6 sometimes. I think it was in the spoiler of Havenfall, right, where they describe like some guy riding a horse through it, and just for the moment, doesn't it feel like there's like just a bunch of hooks like running through his skin and stuff? Like you said, Super Hellraiser, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we always Hellsmoke. I think was how I ended up referring to it a lot. Which I thought was kind of
Yeah, that's
But
more
I like that,
appropriate
right,
than
yeah.
the mist.
Yeah.
You know?
the mist.
The mist
black
makes it sound way more
Not so bad.
harmless.
A nice misty day. It's not
Yeah.
terrible. You know?
We've all seen
That's
The Mist.
true.
There's no scares there.
You know, The Mist is like in my top comedy films, and people don't. I don't think they understand.
The Mist, is that the one with Thomas Jane, or am I
You bet
thinking
it
of?
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious.
Really, I've never seen it. I've heard it is good.
It's
but
not
maybe it's
really supposed to be funny. I think it was just
Yeah, that's the thing.
my
is,
headspace at the time. I really thought it was
Okay.
funny.
I'm curious now.
We should all watch The Mist. It's been a while since I've seen
Hey,
it.
it's,
put it
it's
on the
spooky
list.
time.
It's better
Let's
than
do it.
Fog. So,
Right.
although the original Fog's not bad. More horror movie, Rex. That's
Right.
cool.
Now, moving kind of along the timeline a little bit, we mentioned Rise
sure,
of the
yeah.
Sentinels, which is kind of the next things that happens in the Shadow Isles.
I guess you got Ruin King, but Ruin King is just kind of like we end up back where we start, sort of, right?
Literally, it's fucking pointless,
Yeah,
dude.
which was kind of I've kind of combined those two, I guess, together.
Okay, sure, that's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, Ruined King comes before my so basically Thresh and Gangplank woke up Viego because they wanted to use his power to take over Bilgewater, but they were weak as hell, so he took over Gangplank and used him to fight the Ruined King folks. While he looked for Isolde, he was briefly captured, but then was quickly freed and went on a rampage looking for all the pieces of Isolde's soul to bring her back, which he did. She was not happy about it. So the Sentinels laid her to rest for good, sealed Viego, and forgot about Thresh, or ran from him, depending on which version of the story you believe is canon.
They had a few different Rise of the Sentinels iterations
And
there.
none of them were good. Well, that's the crazy part about it all.
No.
Yeah, and that whole sealing kind of is what, I mean, I guess led to Neela, I guess, now on her own little rampage. But post-ruination, Yorick is still chilling here, trying to defeat the Black Mist by using its power against it. Although, not sure where he's at post-Maiden, because that was kind of, I mean, that was part of the whole Sentinels of Light event, was he gave up the Maiden. So I don't know where the fuck that's all about now.
She back.
They
all come back, man.
Thresh has broken free from the Shadow Isles and is collecting souls in Noxus. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Viego's kind of sealed in Camivore now. He's not in the Shadow Isles anymore, and Neela's pissed about that. But,
Yeah, because people live around there.
yeah.
She's like, hey, you sealed this angry ex-husband next door to me.
He sucked in life, and he's really bad in death.
Yeah, he's just the absolute worst.
What if he gets like a cool dragon to fly him back to the Shadow Isles?
You really
Would that make you like him more?
You're trying to redeem Viego.
What if we gave him a sweet dragon mount?
Does the dragon also have hot cross bun abs?
Ooh,
It has to, but it's also undead. That's the shtick.
Ooh, all right. That's kind of cool. It's just looking like ruined Shyvana.
it would.
Honestly, right?
I mean, it would probably be one of Smolder's folks, right? That's another random thing they added in after the fact is Smolder's whole family.
I'm just biting on the undead elder dragon from last episode, to be honest with you.
I know, that thing's so
I just
cool.
remembered that, and I was like, well, we'll use that IRL, right?
That would be cool. Yeah.
I have a few notable things about the Shadow Isles.
Oh, okay.
That I thought was worth mentioning because it
Sure,
shows
yeah.
up. It doesn't show up a lot, but it's something.
Sure.
We've got the Lost. Now these are the spirits of the dead, who are not technically part of the mist yet. They just hang out in the Shadow Isles, slowly forgetting who they are over time.
I feel like I'm gonna do a little fact check. I'm gonna pull my Realms of Runeterra over because I saw this come up a lot too. It's on Universe page too. It's also on Realms of Runeterra. I feel like this is just the way Riot wanted to refer to the souls in the old Shadow Isles, and then dropped the point entirely.
That sounds right.
Well, because I think it comes up in the
that
Ruined King a
feels
lot
right.
too. Because
Does it really?
you meet a lot of ghosts in the Ruined
That is
King
true.
who aren't part of the mist, and they are all in the process of forgetting everything that some have already forgotten everything they know. But I think the only one who remembers a lot of shit is Necrit for obvious reasons. But you do meet a lot of those ghosts.
It is true. I'm going to quote the Realms of Runeterra, and you can read this how you will, which is that the spirits of the dead are often mournfully referred to as, quote, the lost. For the most part, a dead soul trapped in the Shadow Isles will slowly diminish, forgetting who it was in life. However, the most powerful specters appear to have retained much of their personality and desires even after the ruination, stalking the weak and vulnerable for all eternity. So I feel like this was just the broad way of describing. You know what else it was? There's one other thing. Sorry. So in Realms of Runeterra for the Shadow Isle section, they have a little in-universe note that is written from someone to someone. There's no to or from on it, unfortunately. However, I want to say that in here they also refer to the Lost, where it became. Weaker spirits of the lost may only be able to manifest during a harrowing. It seems more powerful entities may be able to blah, blah, blah. So I feel like, my point being, I think this was just a cool way for referring to all the evil souls in the Shadow Isles whenever this book was written, which was like, what's the copyright date? A while.
A while.
You know what I mean?
So what determined someone being a part of the mist and then someone just being a lost soul?
I think like I said, I think when this was written, this book's just gonna fall.
They were the same?
I think they were the same. Yeah,
Okay.
I think this is just like, but I like the idea more of what you're proposing, John. That it's a separate sort of group.
Like maybe they
Almost.
were not anywhere near Helia when
That,
the
or, like,
ruination happened.
Maybe that, or think like Ledros, as he's kind of depicted as a ghost.
Ledros,
now,
I
where
do think of him as part of the mist, but he can escape it, kind of thing.
Because he's
That's
one
the
of the
thing, it's like-
powerful. He's one of the strong
Spirits.
entities. Because it also said like the strong entities, as they become kind of ghost-like too, while they lose a lot of themselves, they do retain. They almost like they focus in specifically on whatever their strongest attribute was almost. And Ledros was really like loyal, so he became an extra super loyal dead guy.
where the loyal ghost, right?
But
Or
kind of
Ledros, whatever.
Ledros, the loyal ghost.
Yeah.
The loyalist ghost, you know.
the way I kind of imagined it though is that almost like the Day of the Dead or something like that, where like the ghosts that are stuck around slowly forgetting who they were are the ones who still have a bit of themselves left to forget. And eventually they are going to become part of the mist as soon as there's nothing left for them to forget. Like they've forgotten it all and and now they're just this mindless mist monster.
Man, I feel like that would be a really good champion. Just like this ghost who's sort of trying. I mean, it could just be Ledros, to be fair. Who's trying to?
I really want Ledros to be a fucking champion, dude.
But yeah,
we don't even have any like good flail champions, like other than, I mean, I guess Sejuani, but it's kind of a different archetype.
Yeah, it's just the boar thing is bigger for her. But yeah, I really like what you proposed of like a ghost or a spirit who's kind of still has some part of themselves they're trying to desperately cling to, right? It's fun.
Now, we did talk a little about the unnamed order. So this was the group specifically dedicated to hunting out those dangerous artifacts. So it's worth mentioning that Tyrus, who was Ryze's teacher, was in the order, as was Ryze, as was Thresh, though Thresh was a custodian who guarded the artifacts, not one of the cool ones who went out to go get them. But
they still shouldn't have even kept him around.
Nah, he was.
You learn a lot about him in the Ruination book, and basically they're like, this guy's a fucking creep weirdo. We're gonna put him in the basement.
Yeah.
With all the magical artifacts.
No supervision.
Yeah.
Yeah, no supervision, literally. And he like lured people down there to like torture and murder them without anybody ever knowing.
Yeah. And he tortured the artifacts. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
I don't know if that's still canon, but it is beautifully petty.
It's so good. Yeah. If you wanna learn more, but I think the Ruination book is just a great
Thresh was
into Thresh.
the best part of that book by far. And seeing like how much he's responsible for and how clever he is and how he is the big bad here without anybody fucking knowing that he is really fascinating.
Yeah. And now he's the big bad elsewhere, which is scary for the rest of Runeterra. And then finally, the last thing I had was the Brethren of the Dusk, which was Yorick's order of monks who conducted burial rites. They all had a vial of water from the waters of life around their neck to kind of keep them safe, until the maiden convinced them all to take it off and join the mist, except for Yorick.
He was like, that's a bad idea.
Wait a minute. You almost had me. Let's see. The only other things I had, we talked about Helia being kind of the capital of the Blessed Isles. Currently, it's actually where Thresh's Sanctum is, which I think we learned from the Ruined King game, which is where he imprisons and tortures souls now, outside of his lamp. And the Undead Wilds are another area here, which is previously full of wildlife and magic. Now it's fully twisted. This is home to the Twisted Tree Line map previously, where you can find Vilemaw, the massive spider that gives Elise her powers.
Yeah. I do love how you still have a section for government and it's just blank.
Yeah, I did just erase that. You know, I had a template. I decided to stick with it.
Yeah, there was a number of sections. Culture, it's like, well, etc. Right? Yeah, there's a number of things.
Is it rude to say that culture's dead here?
Oh,
hey.
Now I have some champions.
Sure.
From here, or who live here. Or who previously lived here.
It's gotta suck to live there, man. There's not a grocery store anywhere.
Not a one.
Suck to die there.
That's true.
Be dead there, whatever.
Now this is, kind of Elisa's home away from home.
She's got her beachfront property.
We've got Gwen, Hecarim, Callista, Karthus, Maokai. Senna lived here for a while, in a sense.
Yeah, I have an asterisk next to her on this one.
Thresh, Vex, Viego, and Yorick. And we have a bunch of... so we also have I have a separate one here for people who lived in the Blessed Isles, which would include Ryze and Vladimir. And I've got, in terms of connected to the Shadow Isles, I've got the Sentinels of Light here, We've got Akshan, Diana, Graves, Aurelia, Olaf, Pike, Rengar, Riven, Vayne, and Lucian. And then I've got the Ruined King folks. Alawi, Braum, Misfortune, Ari, Yasuo, again Pike, and Gangplank. And then I've got the Corrupted by Viego folks, where we've got Draven, again Gangplank, Karma, again Misfortune, Pantheon and Shyvana. And then finally, we've got the wild card. Finally,
the wild card.
Yo, well, listening to 102, the juice.
I think more Christopher Walken, but
we need more wild card. Our wild card today is LeBlanc.
John, I think you mixed. Were you there for Poppy's music class when they had a cowbell as the instrument?
No, I wasn't.
Oh my god! And Rachel was wearing a Christopher Walken shirt that said "Need more cowbell" on it. It was great. Anyway.
Yeah, we got.
Did you have anything that he's on to the fun facts now?
Oh yeah.
Do we have anything to chat about? I feel like fun facts usually at the end. Yeah.
What do y'all want them to do?
I wasn't gonna move there yet.
Oh, sorry, honey.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
I was curious. What do y'all want them to do with the Shadow Isles? I mean, Rebecca, you threw out potentially see it properly healed and made better at some point. Is that
or drifting off elsewhere?
I'm down with that.
Ooh, the Shadow Isles in motion.
I don't know though. I feel like that's just. I don't find the idea of fighting the mist that interesting, because you can't really unless you have Sentinel's weapons, and I don't want them around.
Just ever.
They're so boring.
I prefer no.
Unless that was now Lucian and Senna's goal was to go to where these harrowings are going to happen and try to push it back. But yeah, I don't really know what I want them to do with the Shadow Isles. I want to see more people there. Maybe regular people trying to find a way to get in there and fix it.
Sure.
I can fix it.
Fine.
I can fix him. Oh my god.
I would be interested in. So one of the other things that we know can fight the mist is Nagakaboros. I'd be really curious to maybe explore a little bit if other god, because there are a lot of gods on Runeterra. Is Nagakaboros an anomaly in being able to fight the mist, or can demigods fight it? Can Volibear and Ornn fight the mist? I mean, can celestial dragons fight the mist? Who else can actually? We didn't really get a chance to see. We know that the aspects can't. So that's one thing down, because Mist fucked up Pantheon, and Diana apparently needed a fun Sentinel weapon too. So
I want to see the Mist versus the Void.
We know the wind beats the Mist.
Sure.
It's true. They got big fans out in Piltover.
Big fans, yeah. Void Mist or some sort of union of the two could be pretty spicy.
That's so scary.
God, ruined Belveth.
Sure, dude. Don't even fucking tease me with what could have been, man. Come on.
I think Belveth is
dangle
too
that shit
smart.
in my face.
Yeah, and too strong. I have to imagine.
Yeah.
Although that's one thing. Just in general, Void versus Undead. I'm curious how they stack up.
Yeah, because they want to devour all life, but the dead ain't alive.
Right?
I think.
My life gone done been devoured already.
It's what happens when Karthus is there.
Does that work for them? We're okay, that's cool.
It's a little loophole.
We can do that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
we'll just spread this mist around, so then you're all kind of dead, and I can live with that.
Sure, or what? Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you, Rebecca. I don't really know what I want to do with them either. It's just like I said, they've done so much with it. I kind of want them to just leave it the fuck alone.
I'm there too. I feel like we've had big events. I'd rather see attention brought elsewhere. And if you're ever going to look at the Shadow Isles again, do it through the eyes of Yorick or Maokai, the people who are there and trying to fix it. Maybe they can meet. It's
like it was too crazy now.
There's like 2 people alive on this island trying to fix it, and they've never run into each other.
Yeah, it's true.
Hey, there's a lot of islands, you know?
That's true. It's not just one island.
York doesn't like to leave his island. It makes him
He's
uncomfortable.
not good very far away.
Yeah. The only other thing is, like, I don't know if you want to throw out some recommendations for, like, stories, comics, some pieces to look
Actually,
at
fun
if you want
facts
to get
aren't
into
the last
the
things
region.
I had here now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
I only had 4 here, which I'm sure you had all 4 of them too, but I think my favorite ones were Will of the Dead by Laura Miche, Shadow and Fortune by Graham McNeil, which doesn't take place in the Shadow Isles, but there's a lot of Shadow Isle folks in it.
Yeah.
The Echoes Left Behind by Anthony Reynolds Lene, and Night Bloom by Rayla Hyde.
Yeah, I did have all those. Oh, I didn't have the Alawi one, but I mean, I totally agree with it. I actually kind of like. I think if you really want to get a sense for the Shadow Isles in the quickest amount of time, you should read the Princeling's Lament. It's like a quick pop-up book of like, here's all the Shadow Isles champions in a fun little poem, and it also kind of gives a nice flavor for it. If you have Realms of Runeterra, obviously check out the Daring Darling, and then the only other one I remember really standing out, I had a few more, but they're all fine. I really liked Inside of Land, which is that Callista story. That one I thought was pretty effective. I like that one by Anthony Reynolds Lene. And obviously the Ruination novel is
that's going to be your best
reading.
Like taste of it takes place mostly in the Blessed Isles.
Yeah,
which is really interesting.
which is nice.
And you're seeing all of these moments leading up to the Ruination itself.
For sure.
Because there's outside of the stories, there's a few other kind of like media that will also kind of get you up to speed with this. I think the Ruination novel's great. I think Ruination will take you up to the Shadow Isles. I think the Ruined King game is a great exploration of the Shadow Isles post Ruination.
Yes, yeah, because you spend a lot of time in the game in there, right?
Yeah,
and yeah.
You get to see a lot of really cool stuff, and you get to see like not just kind of the creepy aspects that you see in the stories. You get to see a lot of because in the Ruination, you hear about the Blessed Isles being this bastion of experimentation and science, and you don't, I feel like, see any of that in any of the Shadow Isles stories. It's just like ghosts, ghosts, and more ghosts. In the Ruined King, sure, you get the ghosts, but you also get to see like, oh, okay, there's some really cool technologically advanced shit here. Along with all the ghosts, but it's a really cool exploration of what was actually going on there. In terms of cinematics, like None Escape is good Thresh one. You get to see a lot of Shadow Isles there. The Harrowing Tales of the Black Mist is it's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then if you want to learn all about the Sentinels of Light and their whole shtick here, you can watch these cinematics in this order: The Climb, Dark Passage, Shadow's Embrace, Ruination, The Story So Far, Before Dawn, Chapter 1 Recap, Chapter 2 Recap, Chapter 3 Recap, into Absolution. All of those recaps are Akshan narrating all of the highlights of the Sentinels of Light event so that you don't have to go back and read them.
Man, I'm really curious to go watch those and compare his description, his summary to my understanding of the story. You know what I mean?
He makes it sound way more interesting, I'll tell you that.
I'm sure.
Hearing it told through Akshan is way better.
What that we could all live our lives through Akshan's eyes, man.
That would all be more interesting.
Right? Next time you feel like your life is boring or you're not confident in yourself, just imagine Akshan describing what you did for the first 3 hours of your day.
30 minutes on the toilet.
You okay? Something? Or was it just like you got reading, like you were doom scrolling? What's up?
No, I'm fine. I have a 2-year-old. I could not spend 30 minutes on the toilet.
Right? God,
it's just something men do. I can't even go to the toilet alone.
Marvel's not going to snap itself.
She'd be like 45 seconds on the toilet with her toddler trying to lift her up and drag her out of the bathroom.
Now, I do have some fun facts. If y'all want to hear them. I'm sure you all know because we all read the same wiki page. But
I don't read the fun facts because I know you're so excited to deliver them to us.
Aww. Well, the Blessed Isles architecture was inspired by real-life Carthage, ancient Alexandria, and Rome, mainly Mediterranean architecture.
Ooh, very pretty.
I like it.
The twisted tree line was initially described as the last living forest of Zon, but was then retconned to be a location in the Shadow Isles for the Twisted Tree Line remake.
That is interesting, the
Yes,
idea that
yeah.
there's like a forest that survived what happened in Zon and how like horrible it would be.
Now we've got that one tree that survived in Arcane, and
Oh, the sad dead kids tree.
they don't call it that, but
They should.
we know that it's...
It didn't catch on.
That's what they call it in Piltover.
Headless Hecarim, Haunted Maokai, and Underworld Twisted Fate were released to celebrate the remake of the Twisted Tree Line map. In Wild Rift, a new ranked emblem for the game's League system was introduced, and Shadow Isles represented the emblem for the Wild Rift Emerald rank. So if you made it to Emerald, you're Shadow Isles.
You're haunted.
Yeah, right? Enjoy what's left of your life.
Oh my goodness. I'll never be Emerald, so it's okay.
Certain kinds of poros reside in the Shadow Isles. They were most likely betrayed or dead.
I did see that on the wiki that there was at least
At
one
least that
Poro
one.
on the Shadow Isles. I was like, why would you do this to him?
He's living his best life.
Betrayed specifically. Like, that's enough. Interesting.
Maybe he came over with... We know that... New headcanon for this, by the way. We know in Ruined King that Braum came to the island with poros. Because he uses them to
don't
solve
fucking
puzzles.
Even. Do not
Braum would
fucking even.
never betray a Poro.
Not
John.
intentionally, but, you know...
Don't do this to my boy.
He, I mean,
You
the
know what?
puzzle-solving elements for Braum is there's a hole that's too tiny for the team to get through. He sends a Poro through there. They do their thing.
Yeah.
It's possible one didn't make it back. That's all
Goddamn,
I'm
you're-
saying.
You know what? I kind of like it because it's a really compelling motivation for Braum to go save that Poro.
Yeah. Oh,
And he
that
would.
would be great. He would go back to save a Poro.
Yeah. Ruined King 2. That's the plot.
Back for the Poro.
And finally, the Black Mist can manifest anywhere in Runeterra
Oh.
through the harrowing, but due to its proximity to the Shadow Isles, it hits them the most
Built
because
on.
it's a little bit lazy.
Yeah. It's lazy. I don't know,
Are you gonna
guys.
get
Let's
out?
just do Bilgewater. Wait, well, are you going to get out of here?
We had Bilgewater
gonna go
last
hunt
year.
I've gone so far, man.
There's a big
So
dragon. Can it beat us? I don't even know if it can beat us. Let's stay away from the dragon, guys.
Boy.
And now that I'm thinking about
Good.
it, there's
Okay.
actually a lot of miscellaneous gods in various other places other than... Although there's a god in Bilgewater that can beat them too, so I don't know why they choose that one.
I don't know.
Not like a challenge.
Oh, maybe.
She chills underwater most of the time. We're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Those are the Shadow Isles.
Shadow Isles. I did mention that we would do a call out, I guess, to episodes if you really wanted to do a deep dive
Oh,
here.
yeah,
so
yeah.
we do have an
Oh, sure.
episode that is one specifically dedicated to the Ruination novel.
Yes.
We do have a episode that is specifically dedicated to the Ruined King on Patreon for gameplay, but then I think didn't we do like a Ruined King lore
I
recently?
think you
for-
guys might have. I wasn't a
kinda
part
talked
of the
about it.
episode.
We talked about it a bit. I mean, we did talk about it a bit in the Ari revisit because she's
I think
in there.
that
don't-
was
Yeah,
it.
the Ari revisit,
Yeah.
we talk about Ruined King quite a bit.
So yeah, so listen to the Ari revisit if you want more of the Ruined King lore specifically. And then we do have a 2-parter, Sentinels of Light. If
Rise
you
of
really
the
want to
Sentinels,
dig into Rise of the Sentinels,
Spoiler, we didn't like it. Although
We didn't
part
like
2
it.
is
Yeah,
way
same.
more negative than part 1, I think. Yeah.
But if you want a deep dive on all things Shadow Isles related, those episodes, they'll hook you up.
Yeah, and then all the champions we talked about, Callista, Viego, Thresh,
Yeah, the ones that are getting talked about a lot, especially. Mm-hmm. Right. Karthus,
Yeah.
he's just there. Don't worry too much about Karthus.
Hey, don't worry about
Yeah.
Karthus.
Give them a
Maokai,
pass, dog.
Yorick. That's it. Yeah. Well, it's a shorter one. Watch any good horror movies lately?
Without you? No.
That's true.
Oh,
We did
watched
watch
the
The
original
Blackening. That was
Pulse.
it.
You watched the original what?
Pulse.
Oh, Pulse
kinda-
with like Kristen Bell.
That's the American remake. We watched the original
fuck.
Japanese one. It was good.
How
It was
was it?
interesting. It has some really effective sequences. And then it also was like some moments that were kind of like awkward, or I don't know, didn't work. But those scary moments pretty good. So I recommend it.
Nice. Oh yeah, we did watch The Blackening. That was really, really funny. And then I just watched As Above, So Below. You watched the end.
Oh,
of that
I've
with
seen.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched.
I liked
What'd you
that.
think of it?
I
Yeah, I liked
did
it
like
too.
it a lot. I don't like found footage as often because I get sick sometimes. But as long as I'm not in the theater, it's usually okay. And it was like, I think, not so bad, the found footage aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what I was getting into, but I liked it. I liked the vibes a lot. Very Descent, which is
Yes.
one of my favorite horror movies ever.
I
Yeah.
watched the last 20 minutes. Seemed pretty chill.
I think you watched like the last half with me, which honestly was when things really
That
started
was
going
when
off
things
the rails.
popped off.
Yeah,
That
things were
things-
really
yeah.
popping off.
I had
yeah.
a lot of questions because I'm
Honestly, it was really easy to just. I'm like, oh, they're looking for the Philosopher's Stone. They're in the catacombs of Paris,
Yeah.
under Paris. It's pretty simple.
Very simple premise, frankly.
Yeah. Anyway, do we know what we're doing next week?
I think
I
we're
know I
gonna
wanted
start
to
doing
keep
the
going.
Arcane revisit, right? That's what I had tentatively on the schedule.
Oh, okay. Are we at
But I don't
that
think
point?
but if we want to push it a week, I didn't plan for that.
No, it's okay. We could talk about it here. It's fine. I'll cut this out.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, I think from when we were trying to suss out, like, okay, Arcane Part 2 will probably be for the
When is the season
the
2 premiering?
13th?
Huh?
you were saying like the 8th or sometime maybe before that, the week. So I figured we would end up recording on the 13th of November. And so did this work out?
And then we were never positive about if we wanted to do 3 parts for the Arcane revisit or like
I think
2.
that's the thing, is I thought we had some more parts going. Maybe I did it wrong. Maybe I did my math wrong.
is the
November 6th is when it comes
Yeah.
out.
So we probably won't record until the 13th for that.
I would say we record early, like we did last year,
Oh, you wanna try and-
or the other year,
Okay.
where we just recorded like the next day or like a couple days later to get it out
like
as
the
fast
8th
as
or
we
the
could.
9th. Yeah, I'm down with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
No, I lied. 9th.
Oh, okay.
9th.
It premieres on
Okay.
the 9th. Okay. Well, then
Do 11th.
we'll try to watch it that weekend and then record like Monday or something.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That does still leave us with 4 weeks of recordings. So okay, that's not as recent. So
If
yeah,
we
we
want to
do
stick with
Arcane
Halloween
season 3.
things, I don't know what we want to try to. What else is spooky in League of Legends?
that's the thing, is it's very contained.
I know we could do another revisit. I think we're due, or we could try to do one of those weird table discussions. But we
The
didn't
weird
really think
table
of one.
discussion.
You know, a table discussion. I don't know.
What do
We
I got
didn't
going
think of a
on
good
here?
one.
Could we do a spooky one?
I know, that's what I'm thinking. I have to try to think of a spooky table discussion about League of Legends.
We could invent our own spooky AU.
That's too much work. I can't do that. I'm writing a book, Sean.
I'm looking at some of what we got going on here.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to? Sorry, I'm looking at what we got going on here. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I want to spend a little more time figuring it out. I probably should. I for some reason I thought the Arcane stuff would work with what we had planned, but obviously it doesn't.
That's fine. Honestly, we can wrap up this episode and say we're not positive yet. I think that's okay.
Okay, yeah, surprise. That's
Be a
what's so
surprise
shocking
to
about
everyone.
it. Spooky, is it?
Right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Jump scare.
I think we know. Yeah.
Well, that was the Shadow Isles. Thank you so much for listening. We have Twitch, twitch.tv/loreheads. John streams there on Saturday evenings. EST, he does usually TFT day rooms with viewers. Last week he did some indie games. He might be jumping into some of those again for a little bit here and there. TFT, not clicking with you. You seem mad at it.
This split has not been.
Not your most successful one.
It hasn't been the most fun.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Well,
Oh,
hopefully
that's
the
a
next
shame.
one's better.
Not a fan of charms. I could do without those for next split.
But you're so charming. We also have a YouTube if you want to see our lovely, wonderful faces. John's sophisticated sweater. You can check out our YouTube.
Sophisticated hoodie.
Yeah, and Mark's sophisticated bathrobe.
It's not a bathrobe.
Santa Claus outfit.
It's not a bathrobe?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is. What? No, it's not a bathrobe. It's just a regular robe.
What
I'm
is
cold.
the difference? Okay.
A bathrobe is when you're wet, right? Like you got a
Okay,
shower, you
so
put on a
if you
bathrobe.
would
It's like a
just-
towel. This is not terry cloth.
He put it on when he was dry, so it doesn't count.
Yes.
I didn't know the rules. I'm so sorry. Oh, Christ. We also have a Discord. If you want to find some people to chat with, play League with, you could check out our Discord. And we have a Patreon. Thank you so much to all of our patrons.
But a very special thank you to our Medarda tier patrons, Mr. Dead and King of Hearts. If you were on the Shadow Isles, I would get you off the Shadow Isles. Why are
Wow.
you in the Shadow Isles?
Yeah, get out of there.
If you're there for artifacts, I'll pick them up for you. Just order it on DoorDash or something. Don't go there.
Free 2-day delivery.
Oh, that's how you like that.
Wow.
Ghost
please
mates?
be. Oh, Ghost. Oh, fuck,
nailed
Mark.
it.
That was so good. Ghost mates. There's a new skin line for you.
Right? No,
Little,
it did
ghost
turn out too
postage.
sexy.
That'll turn out too sexy? Is that what you just said?
It's called Ghost Mates. You know what would happen.
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys. That's not what I was thinking. You're both perverts. It's
Ghost
the robe,
Bates.
isn't it?
It's the robe.
Yeah.
It's that Hefner robe.
It does. It's very Hefner. Now I'm imagining Hefner in a bathrobe. Sorry. Please be sure to join us next week as we talk about something. We're not sure yet.
The scariest thing of
It's the
all,
unknown.
the Teemo rework.
It's just a visual one.
No, he's got new lore.
Oh, new lore.
Yeah, well, that, honestly, maybe we could do more of a classic sort of revisit, not like just going back to someone, but kind of picking up some new stuff. Funny enough, there were a couple of little new Callista cinematics for Wild Rift that I found as a part of looking at the Shadow Isles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we figured it out. Be sure to join us next week. We are going to talk about Teemo's rework and new Callista cinematics.
Hell yeah.